channel. For those who are new here, welcome. My name's Lucy and this is Lucy's event blog. So today I want to start a video that is going to be a two-part video. I want to talk to you about my experience of putting on my very own first professional event. Now, this wasn't done on my own, it was done in a group and it was part of my university coursework for my second year at university. So I want to mix it up a little bit. I want to do it as a two-part video, but I do want to make sure we get the theory in there so that I can teach you the things I've learned, the mistakes we might have made, the mistakes we could have done without, things we had to overcome and things like that. I just want to make sure that I cover every aspect, but also give you a little bit of theory along the way. So it's not just me telling a story. I am trying to teach you a little bit at the same time. So in September last year, being a little university student who didn't live in Manchester, so didn't socialise as much as everybody else, I attended uni and sat with my obvious uni friend Neve, who I have spoken about several times recently, and we were told that we were going to be putting on a professional event. Now, we knew it was coming, we knew we had to put on an event, and we were both sat there hoping it'd just be us working in twos. Like, nobody else would have to join in. It would literally just be me and Neve being able to work together because we knew it worked. We knew how each other worked best and we knew exactly what we'd do. The lecturers had other ideas and obviously a group of two was not on the agenda. So it had to be groups of 5. And to pick your group of 5, they taught us about Belbins theory. So I do want to go through that with you today, and I will be talking about it in a little bit more detail. But going back to being told this on our first week of second year at uni, we were both absolutely petrified. Like, we didn't talk to other people. It was me and Neve only. It was daunting. I was so scared, and the fact that we weren't being given any money towards it, I had no idea how we were going to be able to book a venue, get people. I didn't know if people would come. Like, I know I've got like the world's most supportive family and friends, but I didn't think they'd want to come. And then I had no idea who I was going to be working with or what they were like or what they'd want to do, how they worked, and it was a little bit scary. So before we were put into the groups, we were taught about Belbins theory, and the way they did it was we looked through his theory and we chose what we thought we were good at, what we thought we were bad at, and from that we were able to distinguish what kind of learner we were. So I'll give you a little bit of information about Belbin's theory. He believed that there were perfect ways to work in a group, and the perfect way to work in a group is that you would have somebody who excelled in specific areas. So there was 9 key areas that Belbin believed were important. So the first one was a research investigator. So the strengths of a research investigator is that they're outgoing, they're optimistic, enthusiastic, and explore options. So I'm sure you sat there thinking, yeah, I can do that. I know I was. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2 was a team worker. So a team worker is cooperative, listens, does what they're told to do, and avoids friction, so kind of keeps the morale of the group up, kind of keeps everyone from arguing, things like that. A coordinator is somebody who is driven, has a perfect mindset, creates goals and helps the team hit those goals, and is just a proper team worker. They're very confident, they know what they're doing, they know what they want, and when they have a goal in mind, they keep going until they hit that goal. So the next one is a plant. So they're key in the team worker situation. They're imaginative, they generate good ideas, they're free thinking, and they're willing to try anything. They're also really good at solving difficult problems, so any bumps in the road, they'll be able to come up with something that can help you move forward. The 5th one is a monitor evaluator. So this person is enthusiastic, they overlook problems and they judge it correctly. So they analyse both sides of the argument and they know which one is best by looking at a number of factors. So if you've got one person wanting to do one event and one person wanting to do the other, and there's arguments about it, they will look at everything that has been put forward, and they will make sure that you choose the best thing for the whole group. The 6th one is a specialist. So this person is hardworking, driven, and provides specialist knowledge and skills. So key to a team, really. You do need someone that specialises in the area you're looking at and is really good at their side of the tasks. The 7th is a shaper. Now, a shaper is challenging, dynamic, and thrives on pressure. So coming towards the deadline, you'll normally see that they are thriving, they know exactly what they're doing, and the ideas start to flow a little bit more. A shaper also has the drive and courage to overcome obstacles. So just like before, if you hit a bump in the road, then the shaper will be able to help build the morale and help you overcome those obstacles, make sure that everything goes back and is running plain sailing and everything will be fine. The 8th is an implementer. So this person is practical, reliable, efficient, turns ideas into actions, and makes sure that work is done. Now, this is important. Every group needs an implementer, because by having an implementer in your group, it means that the work is going to be done. Somebody is dishing out the work to each other, and everybody knows what task they've been set, and everybody could go off, head off, go away and come back, and when you all meet up, you've all got your sections of work done. And it makes it so much easier when you know what you're doing, you know what work needs to be done, and you're feeling like you're not the only person doing all the work, because that's a horrible feeling. And an implementer is a key part of a team, I think. When you're working in a team, an implementer is probably the main person you will need. And the last one is a complete finisher. So a complete finisher is somebody that goes over everything with a fine-tooth comb. So they will make sure that every single aspect of your event, of your whatever you're doing, is perfect. They will go through every document, they will make sure everything is perfect, and it will not be sent away until that person knows that it is the best it can be, that you've covered every single aspect. And I think that again is a key part of a group, because you don't want to be sending work off half done, you don't want to have to keep redoing things, and I think a complete finisher is a really important part of a group. So all this information is over on my Instagram. I will link it down below, so feel free to follow me and have a little nosy on my Instagram there, and you'll learn a little bit more about the Belbin roles. They're all on there, and it also tells you what each weakness of each role is, so you can have a proper look, you can properly try and identify what kind of teamwork person you will be. But yeah, that's what we did at university, and if I'm 100% honest, I didn't fill my form out as accurately as I should have done, because I definitely wanted to work with Neve. I wanted to make sure that no matter what, I was in the same group as her. And the whole point was you'd choose a post-it note and then you'd meet up with somebody else who was a different post-it note. So I wanted to make sure that my post-it note was not the same as Neve's, because then we could work together. So we were formed into a group with 2 other really nice girls that we didn't know at the time, and we also had another friend at university at the time as well who was part of our group. So there was 5 of us, and it was really good, and we went to an interview. So the interviews were another day at uni where we went round and we met all the clients, we read the client brief, we asked them any questions we had in regards to what they would like us to do, and they'd ask us any questions as to what kind of ideas we already had flowing. So we went around, we met some amazing people, some amazing charities, and we instantly were in love with one charity which we felt we had the biggest connection with. We loved the brief was so good, and it was quite nice because they were willing to let us do whatever we wanted. As long as it fit in with the charity, they were happy to let us run away with it, choose an event ourselves, and they would help us if we needed any help, and it just sounded amazing. So we had to wait a week. We had to write our top 3 charities down on a piece of paper, and then the charities did the same. They wrote the top 3 groups down. So we'd named our group, we were Universal. Our Instagram is still up at the moment, so I'll link that down below as well, so you can have a little nosy, but you don't want to nosy too much because you might ruin part 2 of the video. So that happened, and they wrote their top 3, we wrote our top 3s, and we had to wait a week then until we were back in the lecture to find out what group we were in. And luckily our charity chose us as number 1 and we chose them as number 1, so we were partnered together and we worked for Prevent Breast Cancer, which, if you don't know them, I'll link their website below and you should definitely check them out because they're an amazing charity. They do amazing work. They're one of the only, I think they're the only charity in Manchester who does research into the prevention of breast cancer, which means they try and prevent it before it attacks. So before you find out you have breast cancer, they try and prevent it. And I think it really, the work they do is incredible, and I feel so proud to have been able to help them. So yeah, I'll link their website down below so you can have a little look into that as well. So we were working for Prevent Breast Cancer and we formed this group and we had the idea of doing a fun run. Now, a fun run sounded like the perfect idea. We were going to do fancy dress, we were going to invite families and children, we were going to have like bouncy castles, face paint, everything was going to be done, and it would have been incredible. But the only issue was, the more we were looking into it, the more we realised that it was going to be expensive. And we remembered it was going to be expensive. So we needed insurance, like in case it rained and the event had to be cancelled, or in case it rained and somebody slipped. And the university couldn't provide that insurance for us. So we knew that a deadline was coming up for us with our marketing research, which was a separate part of the course, but did link into our Event Live programme. So we had to do, for the marketing research, we had to do marketing for our actual events. So we were doing marketing for a fun run. We were finding out what our customers wanted, and then we were working on that. And we thought, right, well, one possible way to get the insurance left, and that is to ask the charity. So we set up a meeting with our charity, we showed them what we'd got planned so far and mentioned about the insurance. And unfortunately, the charity also couldn't get us the insurance. So not only did that solve problems for our event, but it also solved problems for our marketing coursework. And to make things worse, in December we were supposed to be doing a presentation to show what we'd decided as our event, what we were planning to do, our fundraisers to raise money to be able to hire a venue and things like that. And it was now October and we didn't have an event. And we had no event idea, and we were starting from square one really. So although we were only about 3 or 4 weeks into the term, or into the year should I say, we were so far behind. We couldn't do any fundraising because we didn't know what our event was going to be, so we didn't know what kind of venue we needed, so we didn't know how hard we had to go with the fundraising. So we definitely hit a backseat. So we edited the marketing research and made sure that it was for a more specific audience. And luckily, the 4 of us managed to pull it off, because once we found out that the event was cancelled, one of the girls did sadly drop out of uni. So we went from a group of 5 to a group of 4 very quickly. And it was like all our issues were coming in at once, which can be seen as a positive, but can also be seen as a negative. At the time, it was the worst thing ever because we had all these issues. We just found out that we were miles behind because we had no event idea, and then our team leader dropped out. But in the end, it was kind of like a blessing in disguise, because all our issues happened at the beginning rather than right at the end. And as you find out throughout this video, our event was very close to the COVID lockdown, so we were lucky to get our event done, but we'll talk about that more in the next video. So yeah, we managed to get our marketing coursework in, and between the 4 of us we managed to do a really good job, and I'm still pretty proud of us all for managing to do as well as we did. We had a week off for reading week in October, and we took that week to go away, and between the 4 of us we needed to think of ideas. We needed to think of new event idea, and we needed to think fast. So we all took our own separate weeks off, we all went home, we all did whatever we did, and when we came back first week of November, we all sat down and discussed our ideas. Now, one person had the idea of a bingo night, a little bit like Bongo's Bingo, if any of you have ever been. One person had the idea of a karaoke night, and there was a few other ideas mixed around. So we decided to kind of mix the ideas together, and our event idea was born. So we had a booby bingo fun night. So it involved bingo and it involved karaoke, and it wasn't quite like Bongo's Bingo, only because we found out through our research that Bongo's Bingo were having an event in Manchester the night before our actual event. So at this point we didn't know, and we were kind of going down the Bongo's Bingo route, but when we finally set a date for our event, we found out that Bongos Bingo were having an event the night before, and we decided that we didn't want to market our event the same, because people or students would have gone to Bongos Bingo the night before in Manchester. They wouldn't have wanted to do 2 nights in a row. So we made ours more karaoke, adult friendly, so it was over 18s, but anybody could come who was of age, and there was going to be karaoke to end the night, so most people would leave, and then you've got like an hour for karaoke, and then the event would finish. So we set on working on that and trying to find a venue, and because of all the setbacks, we got a little bit stuck when it came to finding a venue, because we were emailing around December, and obviously most venues around then are booked up to the brim with Christmas parties, staff Christmas parties, things like that. So we had one venue reply to us, and they were quoting us about £700 to hire the venue for the night. It was an over 18s club, and they wanted £700. And at this point, we had no money. So instantly we were like, right, like, we need to join in this fundraising team. Like, we need to properly think about it. We need to set an event. So we decided to do a quiz night. And this quiz night was open to anyone, all ages. And luckily, my amazing uncle, who loves to do quizzes, was like, yeah, absolutely, I'll help. I will help you find a venue for the quiz, and I will host the quiz, and I'll write the quiz. Now, my uncle does quizzes all the time. He loves them. So it was an incredible help, and he managed to get us a venue for free, which made it even better. And he also invited some of his quiz team along, so he goes to quizzes every week, and he invited some of the members there along, and so many of them turned up. It was incredible, but more on that next week. So we had to plan this quiz night, and we also had to plan our presentation. So having no actual venue, we had to go into a meeting with our lecturers and the charity, explaining what our event was, what our brief was, like what smart rewards we'd set ourselves from the brief, and what the event was going to be. And it was petrifying, because if I'm completely honest, I thought we were going to get in so much trouble, because we had setbacks, but we were nowhere near as far ahead as what I personally thought the other groups were. I thought all the other groups had locked down venues. They'd all got their venues, they'd all paid, they all knew what their event were, and they were already publicising tickets. I was so wrong, so wrong. But obviously at the time I had no idea, and I was personally dead worried about the presentation, and I know the other girls were as well, because I think we had, the day of the presentation, we were literally rehearsing this presentation right up until the minute we walked through the door. So yeah, it was petrifying. So as I mentioned a minute ago, we did have to set some SMART objectives. Now, the way that we set our objectives were, we went through the client brief and we looked at what they wanted. So they wanted to try and get a more student audience. They wanted to try and reach out to more men. And they wanted to try and have us achieve around 100 participants. So all things that we thought we would try our hardest to hit, and hopefully it would work. The one we were most worried about was the men. We didn't know if we would be able to attract men to a booby bingo event, but we tried our hardest, and in next week's video you will find out whether we achieved that or not, and what actual targets we hit and what we just missed, or what we missed by a huge margin. So SMART objectives, for those who don't know, are objectives that you can set that have specific meanings. So it's an acronym. So S is for specific, M is for measurable, A is for attainable, R is for relevant, T is for time bound. So the SMART objectives are very important, and again I posted something on my Instagram a few weeks ago about SMART objectives, so I'll link it below for you to go over and have a proper look. But SMART objectives are key to setting up a successful event. Everybody needs to set goals. I set goals for every video I post. I set goals for every post I post on Instagram. And at the end of the week, I will go through my Instagram posts and I will see how much interaction they've had, how many likes, how many comments, how many saves, how many shares. And I will record that in a little notebook that I've got, just to make sure that I'm hitting the right people. I know what kind of content you guys prefer, and it really does help. And it will help you when you are marketing for an event or when you're putting on an event. It'll help you so much. So definitely set SMART rewards. So it came to the day of the presentation that we had to do, and I think we spent about 2 hours finishing the presentation, finalising it and making sure we all knew what parts we were reading, what we were saying, and we'd all worked hard on it. We'd all had our own specific slides to work on, and then one of the girls was really nice and she put the whole presentation together, made sure it all looked good, looked professional, and she made sure that everybody had their own slides in there but it fit the theme of the presentation. So we had a lady from the charity come who wasn't our contact because she was busy, so we had to meet this new lady, and we had to present to her and we had to present to the lecturers. Now, as I said before, we were petrified. We had no idea how this was going to go, how it was going to end up, and we stood there, we presented the idea of Booby Bingo Fun Night, we presented the idea of our quiz night fundraiser that we were doing, and we just told them everything. We told them that we didn't have a venue yet, but we were actively looking. We were hoping to have a venue locked down by January, so by the time we went back in January, that we'd have a venue by the end of that first week. And the lecturers were amazing. The lady from the charity said that it was one of the best ideas she could think of. She didn't want to change a thing. They didn't have very many concerns. I think their only concern was just locking down the venue, and it was honestly a huge sigh of relief for every single one of us. I'll even put a picture here. This was during our presentation. We asked at the end if they would take a picture of us in front of the notice board. So yeah, that is me, Alicia, Sophia and Neve, and that was my university event Booby Bingo group. So yeah, it was a huge sigh of relief to know that we weren't as far behind as we thought. They congratulated us for how we'd got over our setbacks, and that made us feel really good and gave us the right attitude into going for the Christmas break, because although we'd be working over the Christmas break, actively trying to get gifts, raffle prizes, things like that, we knew that we were doing a lot better than we'd given ourselves credit for. We were being really hard on ourselves. So I was the marketing person for Universal. I did all the online stuff, so I ran the Facebook, ran the Instagram, I advertised everything. Neve was the client liaison, so she was in touch with the charity all the time. She made sure that she was talking to companies to try and get raffle prizes. Sophia was our admin and she looked at the finance side of things. She also did the decorating of the actual event, which you'll see next week. And Alicia was our project manager. So she was in charge of all of us and made sure that we were doing all the work we needed to be doing and helped us out if we needed it. And personally, I think we worked well as a team. I'll let you lot be the judges of that next week. And yeah, so that's it for today's video. So please make sure you like and subscribe. That way you will not miss part 2 next week. So next week I want to talk about how it'll be a lot less theory based next week, but I want to talk about how the event went, how the run up to the event was for us as a team, what we would have done differently, what we would have done better, and give you some advice. That's the only way I can put it. I will give you some advice on what not to do and what to do when running your own professional event, whether it's for a university course or not. So yeah, that's it from me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments below if you did. Don't forget you can check out my Instagram, Universal's Instagram, and the Prevent Breast Cancer website by looking at the links in the comment box below. And yeah, please subscribe and like, and I'll see you next week.